A quarrel had arisen between the horse and the stag, so the horse came to a hunter to ask his help to take revenge on the stag. The hunter agreed, but said, "If you desire to conquer the stag, you must permit me to place this piece of iron between your jaws, so that I may guide you with these reins, and allow this saddle to be placed upon your back, so that I may keep steady upon you as we follow the enemy." The horse agreed to the conditions, and the hunter soon saddled and bridled him. Then, with the aid of the hunter, the horse soon overcame the stag, and said to the hunter, "Now get off and remove those things from my mouth and back." "Not so fast, friend," said the hunter. "I have now got you under bit and spur, and prefer to keep you as you are at present." The Horse, the Stag, and the Hunter. Aesop's Fables. On October 30th, 1922, Benito Mussolini arrived in Rome at 10:55 a.m. in an overnight sleeping car from Milan. He had been invited to the capital city by the king to accept Italy's premiership and form a new cabinet. Accompanied by a small group of guards, Mussolini first stopped at the Hotel Savoia, and then, wearing a black suit jacket, black shirt, and matching black bowler hat, walked triumphantly to the king's Quirinal palace. Rome was filled with rumors of unrest. Bands of fascists, many in mismatched uniforms, roamed the city's streets. Mussolini, aware of the power of the spectacle, strode into the king's marble-floored residential palace and greeted him, "Sire, forgive my attire. I come from the battlefield." This was the beginning of Mussolini's legendary March on Rome. The image of masses of black shirts crossing the Rubicon to seize power from Italy's liberal state became fascist canon, repeated on national holidays and in children's school books throughout the 1920s and 1930s. Mussolini did his part to enshrine the myth. At the last train stop before entering Rome that day, he had considered disembarking to ride into the city on horseback, surrounded by his guards. Though the plan was ultimately abandoned, afterward he did all he could to bolster the legend of his rise to power as, in his own words, a revolution and insurrectional act that launched a new fascist epoch. The truth was more mundane. The bulk of Mussolini's black shirts, often poorly fed and unarmed, arrived only after he had been invited to become prime minister. The squads of fascists around the country were a menace, but Mussolini's machinations to take the reins of state were no revolution. He used his party's 35 parliamentary votes out of 535, divisions among establishment politicians, fear of socialism, and the threat of violence by 30,000 black shirts to capture the attention of the timid King Victor Emmanuel III, who saw in Mussolini a rising political star and a means of neutralizing unrest. With political order restored by Mussolini's appointment and socialism in retreat, the Italian stock market soared. Elder statesmen of the liberal establishment, such as Giovanni Giolitti and Antonio Salandra, found themselves applauding the turn of events. They regarded Mussolini as a useful ally. But not unlike the horse in Aesop's fable, Italy soon found itself under bit and spur. Some version of this story has repeated itself throughout the world over the last century. A cast of political outsiders, including Adolf Hitler, Getulio Vargas in Brazil, Alberto Fujimori in Peru, and Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, came to power on the same path, from the inside, via elections or alliances with powerful political figures. In each instance, elites believed the invitation to power would contain the outsider, leading to a restoration of control by mainstream politicians. But their plans backfired. A lethal mix of ambition, fear, and miscalculation conspired to lead them to the same fateful mistake, willingly handing over the keys of power to an autocrat in the making.